welcome to Bear Football here on the Barroom Network. John Buffone alongside Aldo Gandia and Danny Shimon, trying to process what we just saw moments ago. Most Bears fans, I'm probably guessing, are thinking, what the hell did I just watch? For a game that looks so in hand in the first half and parts of the second half, completely fall apart. The Bears continuously find new ways to lose. Justin Fields has a career day, 28 of 35, 334 yards, 4 touchdowns, but throws a late pick, also had a fumble return for a touchdown. The defense broke down in spots. There were a lot of questionable coaching decisions made throughout the game. And before I kick it around the horn here, guys, it just looks like if you saw those last shots of Justin Fields on the bench, with his head down and people consoling him, you're thinking this kid is just probably thinking, what else do I got to do? Like, it's his 14 straight losses. 14 straight losses dating back to last year. We're coming up on the 1 year point now where it's Bears fans have been through 14 straight losses. These Bears players, his coaching staff has been through 14 straight losses. I mean, I'm to the point now, fellas, where it's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, they lost again. Like, it's almost, we're becoming callous to this. Like, we're not, like, we're like, well, this is to be expected. Even when with Justin Fields having the kind of performance he did and having a multiple score lead at one point, you're thinking, why are they not winning by more? Why does this not seem like it's the ass kicking it's supposed to be? Why are they not running away with this? And it's lingering and lingering and lingering, and eventually the final the other shoe dropped, and everything falls apart at the end, and the Bears remain winless despite finding a new way to lose. Danny, I'll start with you, and then we'll kick it over to Aldo. What's your immediate reaction after this?
My reaction is I don't want to see Zach Sullivan's comments pop up on this chat anymore until he has a tangible comment to make. Him and his ridiculous comments there, Zach. Take your comments and just keep them to yourself, please. I mean, this is a total team loss. It's a total team loss in terms of why this happened, because the defense can't stop anybody, right? And Eberflus knows that. He's a defensive-minded coach who cannot coach defense. So what happens was he opts to go bypass the field goal, and then the offensive coordinator calls a 4th and 1 call where the quarterback's in the shotgun. If you're going to go for it, if you're going to run the ball, get it under the center, and let's get a fullback in there. And let's go ahead and let's. How about the Philly special, the tush push? Let's get a first down there. Let's not get cute. Get the ball and give the ball to running back in shotgun. That makes no sense whatsoever. Obviously, the defense, and then Justin, with the turnovers. Obviously, that last interception, he was expecting Cole Kmet to kind of keep going. Cole Kmet sat. That was a miscommunication there. And then obviously with the fumble, he's got to hold on to the football. I mean, the guy was in his face, but that's no excuse. You got to hold on to the ball. You cannot let that ball out of your hands. You got to hold on to the football. And that's something that he has to work on throughout his career. And he's gotten a little bit better, but still those plays, he's got to hold on to the football. And I think that's why you saw that shot of him. And then again, I think he feels like he let this team down. But again, this is a complete team meltdown, right? Defensively, they couldn't stop them. Coaching wise, some questionable coaching calls there. Offensively, I mean, they started to run the football with Justin Herbert in that second half, and then he stops going to him in certain situations. 4th and 1, guys, get in under center, do the tush push, get a fullback in there. I don't care what you do. Let's just get a yard and let's continue the drive. Don't get cute there, and it's just a complete meltdown.
What is with this team and like its inability to see 4th and 1 and thinking we can't run the ball? We need the tight end to either run a sneak, or we need to be in shotgun, or I don't understand what they're afraid of. Is it they just don't feel like they're powerful enough to blow somebody off the line for a half a yard to pick it up? Like, I don't understand why it has to be whenever it's a checkers game and you got to play chess, where it's just line up, push the guys across the line, and get your half yard that you need. Why does it have to be rocket science? Why does it have to be bells and whistles? Why can't it just be simplistic? We're going to push you across the first down marker, and we're going to get it. And it just, I don't understand it. Aldo, I'll let you in.
Well, I think that's part of the new NFL. Every offensive coordinator wants to outsmart defensive coordinators and wants to shine among that brethren of offensive coordinators. They want to be considered innovative. They want to put up their resume there for future head coaching jobs. And unfortunately, that's part of the reason why this team is losing, because they're just not getting down to the basics, and which is good, hard-nosed football with execution of the players that are supposed to do their job. When you have Cole Kmet, playing the quarterback position, you're wasting time in practice when there are so many other things you should be working on, like technique, like catching the ball, all sorts of things that the coaching staff could be working on in terms of handling situations, coming up with scenarios like the Bears faced today with a team that was demolished in the first half, and you knew they were going to come out with some adjustments, but the Chicago Bears were unable, either on offense or defense, to match those adjustments. So it's coaching malpractice. That's pretty much, and I agree with, Danny, that this is a full team meltdown, but, everybody deserves blame, and that starts, of course, with the coaching staff, but it also extends to the quarterback. He fumbles the ball, he throws an interception. So I can understand the frustration by people in the chat room, who are saying Justin Fields is not the guy. He had an incredible first half, but let's not forget that this was a team that gave up 70 points last week, and they gave up 35 points the week before. So the openings were there. Justin Fields should have had a fantastic first half, and he should have had a fantastic second half, or at least a steady second half where he wasn't throwing the ball away or fumbling the ball away. And of course, Luke Getsy didn't help his quarterback, as the announcer in the CBS broadcast said, putting him in a situation where he's got his back to the defense in a critical point of the game is not a good play call. I was praying for a screen pass on that down there, as opposed to what was called. So lots of blame to go around. There's no doubt about it. And, this team is headed towards perhaps its worst season in history. 1-13. I lived through that. This could be a winless season for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure part of Matt Eberflus's press conference this week was about, tightening up the basics and executing and really refocusing. Why does that not involve just going up and playing some smash mouth football, and rather than, having to do all this crazy stuff? And also, I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said before, because, the Bears have lost 14 straight games, so you can only say it so many different ways. But when you have that kind of a lead, and you have a guy as your head coach who you brought in for his defensive prowess, a guy that is supposed to be, though, he's going to shore up the defensive side of the ball, and then hopefully the offense stays put. The defense should be something that's reliable. When you have that kind of a lead, and you're supposed to be that kind of defensive mind, and you were brought in here for your ability to run a defense, and your defense gives up 24 unanswered points to blow a game, what are you bringing to the table? What redeeming quality does Matt Eberflus have at this point? I wanted to hear. You can blame the players, which you can. Absolutely, there's blame on the players. There's blame on the offensive coordinator. There's blame on the players. What redeeming quality does the Bears head coach have right now? If he were to hit the open market right now as a head coaching candidate, would anyone even come close to giving him an interview? Because what does he do? What does he do well?
He might be a linebackers coach somewhere. I don't know. He's not a defensive coordinator. At least not at least in my opinion, he's not a good defensive coordinator. He's calling the defense here. It's his defense. He brought it in. That's the one thing. You're a defensive minded coach and your defense blows. I mean, and they had 2 off seasons to try and get pieces in here. And I know last year was the whole tear down, blah blah. But you had money this year, and you got outspent for some impact playing free agent. And they're saying, oh, Ryan Poles comes out here and says, oh, I'm being prudent. And for what? Your defense sucks. You didn't even go out and invest in a defensive tackle until the second and third rounds. If it's, and then we're all going to sit back here and say, all right, Jalen Carter, he's being great. The chances are if Jalen Carter was in this situation, he might not be playing that well. Who knows? But he was one of the top players in this draft, and he totally bypassed him for whatever reason, which they never explained. Whatever. But I mean, you go ahead and it's just, it stinks from the top bottom. And then now everyone's going to come on. They're going to blame the quarterback because, again, he's the guy who gets all the spotlight for the wins and the losses. Maybe too much, blame for losses, too much praise for wins. But it is what it is. This team, the entire team, just blows. The defense, Eberflus had no faith in his defense. That's why he bypassed an easy chip shot field goal, because he knew his defense wasn't going to stop Russell Wilson and company, and they're going to just go down the field and score a touchdown. So he's like, might as well just try and get a field goal. I'm trying to get a first down here, eat the clock, and I'll just kick a last second field goal and hopefully get out here with the win. Well, you know what? It blew up in your face.
This guy can't fall ass backwards into a good decision, because earlier in the game, he decided to punt at midfield on 4th and short, and the Broncos go down, and they drive it down their throat, and they score a touchdown. Then he decides that he's going to go for it because he doesn't trust his defense. They don't get it, and the Broncos go down and win the game. So he can't even luck into the right decision right now. We've all seen our fair share of bad Bears teams, but at least some of them had like redeeming qualities. I mean, that's going to be a common theme with me talking today. Even the Trestman years, at least for a short period of time, there was a fun offense there. Yeah, it imploded, but eventually there was something fun to watch there throughout. Lovey had the defense. The defense was always something that you knew was going to be consistent there. I'm not sure exactly what was consistent about the John Fox years, but in 2018, you had the defense there with Vic Fangio. What can you watch with this team? When you turn on a Bears game, what do you say? Okay, we may not be here, but I know that we can check this box. I want to hear one. I want to hear one thing where you say, we're going to go into this game, we're going to run the ball really well. They're going to stop the run. Their secondary is going to cause some turnovers. What is there? What is there? Name me one thing on this team that you can look forward to every week.
Well, the one thing that I'm looking forward to, and it started probably this week, is just player development. I want to see who on this current squad are guys that you want to take forward into the 2024 season and beyond. So you look at what happened with the running backs today. Khalil Herbert, had his best game as a pro. He played very well, and I'm encouraged by that. And we know that we have great faith in Roschon Johnson. The numbers weren't there today, but he only had 5 attempts at running the ball. So I feel like the running back situation, at least for today, looked encouraging. And then when you judge Justin Fields, the numbers look pretty damn good. 28 to 35, 335 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He still, though, just does not know how to win in the NFL, and that's what I'll be looking for on Thursday's game against the Washington Commanders. Can he hopefully he'll have a lead, and can he finish? Can we see in 2023 a quarterback who has a good first half and then complete the game in the second half by nailing the coffin? Because if not, then we have to start considering who is the heir apparent for the Justin Fields experiment.
Would you say the same thing about Justin Herbert, Aldo?
Would I say the same thing about Justin Herbert? Yeah. Well, it's hard for me because I haven't seen every snap of Justin Herbert play. But I know that he's a much, much better pocket passer than Justin Fields.
But his team loses because his defense blows the leads. Mm-hmm. They blew a 28-point lead in the playoffs last year. So are the
playoffs,
Chargers
Danny,
saying,
though? They were in the playoffs, though.
They were in the playoffs. You're right. But do the Chargers say, hey, we got to get rid of Justin Herbert? He just can't win. What I'm trying to say, it's a team game. The stats he put up today, the numbers he put up today, Justin Fields, they never should have been a close game. This never should have been a close game if you had a respectable defense. I'm not asking for a top 5, top 10. Give me respectable. Get off the field on third downs.
But Danny, Justin Herbert puts up those kinds of stacks lots of weeks, a lot more.
But he loses. But his team loses, though.
Well, but that you're comparing apples to oranges in this situation. And I'm pulling for Justin Fields, but he's got to play a full, complete game. Give me an excuse as to why he threw that interception late in the game.
Because he expected Cole Kmet to finish the route. Cole Kmet set. There was miscommunication on that. That happens all the time with quarterbacks. I see him all the time with quarterbacks. Now, did he throw 4 interceptions? That's a different story. The fumble is his fault. Even though he got pressured right away in his face, he's got to hold on to that ball. And I will not make an excuse for that. the pressure was there, but he's got to hold on to that damn ball. And that's something that he's got to work on. He's got to work on since coming out of college. He's got a little bit better, but he's got to get better there. Hold on to the ball. That's no excuse there. The interception, those happen. Where there's miscommunication. You see Colmet stopped his route. Justin expected him to kind of continue that route. So and then it was kind of throwing to a spot he thought it was going to be there. And then apparently, again, there was miscommunication. I'm not going to go over that over again. But just to blame him for this loss, to me, is ridiculous. I obviously in the last quarter, those two, the interception and the fumble are going to be highlighted. But this is a team loss, and just to say Justin Fields doesn't deserve it. He's going to go out there next week against a Washington defense that's probably going to kill him. He's going to get murdered by that Washington defense, right? And then this defense is not going to be able to stop that Washington offense, and they're going to be 0-6 or 0-5. And next thing you know, like, there you go again. It's going to be all on Justin Fields again. We gotta realize what the problem is. It's not him. He's the least of the problems. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of problems. He's the least of the problems.
Let's spread the blame around. Aldo, go ahead and put Justin Fields' numbers back up for a second, because
Absolutely.
I think this might be the most damning thing to Bears fans and potentially that locker room. When Justin Fields goes 28 of 35 for 335 yards, throws 4 touchdowns, you also have a running back that goes over 100 yards in the game, and it's still not enough. Whether it's the defense falling apart or your quarterback making a mistake with a fumble and a late interception, what that tells the locker room is you can have a banner day and it's still not good enough to beat the Broncos, who gave up 70 points last week. Like, right. That's the feeling in the locker room right now. Our quarterback might have had his best statistical game in his entire career. Khalil Herbert ran for 100 yards. DJ Moore was the most involved he's been all season. And now it's still not good enough. So what does that do for the culture? You can blame anyone you want. You can blame the defense. You can blame the quarterback. You can blame somebody not running the right route. You can blame the coaches for sure. But what it says is, no matter what, you will find a way to lose. Yep. Your quarterback can have an incredible day. Your running back can have a great day. Doesn't matter. You're going to lose. You're going to find a way to lose. And that is the most damning thing of this entire experience today, is they just found an incredibly new way to lose. And that's why you see Justin Fields with his head hung down through his shoulders at the end of the game, because he threw for that many yards, 4 touchdowns. And now it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your defense is going to screw up. Your quarterback's going to make a late error. Your coach is going to make the wrong decision. This team has the slightest margin of error to win a football game. They can't afford to make many errors. It is razor thin, the margin of error that this team has to win a football game. And they blow right through it every single time. Chicago silver lining, the Bears. Oh, great, good. That makes me feel better. If you're listening to the audio version,
but the Jim is an idiot, so he's got to probably pick 2 cornerbacks, first 2 picks in the draft.
Yeah, the silver lining is the Bears currently hold the top 2 picks in the NFL draft. Oh,
thank you, Tareen, for that. Tareen made me aware of that.
Is it fake?
I don't think so. I think it's legit. I'll double check though. Yeah, it's legit. Listen,
just like Matthew Stafford, guys, in Detroit. All those years, Matthew Stafford put up all the numbers and all this stuff, but he was a guy who could throw interceptions. You couldn't win the big game, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Matthew Stafford got put in a better situation with a team that's got a defense, a running game, receivers. Lo and behold, he goes and wins the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, like, you can't just say it was this game. This loss is on Justin Fields. This was a loss.
And I don't know who's saying that. I know I didn't say that. That maybe some people have alluded to that because they're upset. They haven't believed in Justin Fields and are, after today's performance where he failed to play 4 full quarters, might be implying that. But nobody has said that. And that's the other issue. Nobody on this football team played 4 full quarters because there were hardly any complaints at all about the defense in the first half when they gave up a touchdown in the first series of play and then held the Broncos to nothing for the entire first half. They played really solid football. And then when you consider that they had 2 rookies starting at cornerback and a journeyman starting at the slot position, and Jaquan Brisker has been banged up and the other safety is unproven, that defensive effort in the first half was great. Unfortunately, the coach of the Broncos, Sean Payton, went into halftime and made the necessary adjustments so that they could take advantage of what the weaknesses of this Bears defense. So it was a lack of 4 full quarters by the defense, by the coaches, and by Justin Fields. We have to admit that.
And Aldo, just going back to something you said a couple minutes ago about the for you, it's about watching player development through the next year to see who you want to roll with it. And I agree with you. Like that's what we have to watch to see who can actually contribute to this team in the future. But it's also something that I'm tired of watching football games for. It's kind of like I'm tired of that being the main reason I'm tuning in. Like, let's see what this guy can do. We have the preseason for that. We can see who's going to contribute to the team that year. I'm tired of watching who can contribute or 1 or 2 years. I'm tired of seeing who's the bright spot in this otherwise abysmal performance to say, oh, maybe next year this person's going to be a real contributor. I'm tired of that. I want to watch because the Bears have a legitimate shot of winning and competing and potentially being a contender. I don't know if that's crazy to ask, but apparently it is. We're in the first day of October talking about who's going to contribute in 2024. It is October 1st. And we're talking about, let's just watch to see who can contribute to next season. Good God. We couldn't even have a month. We couldn't even have a month of hopefulness. We went from hopefulness to hopelessness in 4 weeks because of how bad this team is. I can't, it's hard for me just to be into mock draft mode already. I usually save that for the end of October or even in November if I'm lucky. We barely got out of September. And we're already looking at mock drafts.
It's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any easier because
that's an appearance.
You got a Washington team now just took the Eagles to overtime, all right, in Philly. So that, they're going to come out there, they're going to score on this defense, and they have a defense that can bring the heat, and it's going to bog down the Bears offense. I mean, I can't see a win in sight. And I have next couple weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, I wish I could say that I see a win in sight. I mean, this was the best chance. We clearly were playing a team that was at our level, and I was frankly surprised that Russell Wilson didn't pass for 150 yards in the first half, and especially after that first series. But unfortunately, we've proven that we are among, if not the worst team in the NFL, and things are just going to get rougher and rougher. We have to start pointing the fingers at Ryan Poles, and Danny has done that. The drafting of 2 defensive tackles, one in the second round and one in the third round. None of them is providing anything remotely like a pass rush, with the exception of that half a sack that Pickens picked up in the first half. And they're just outside of the acquisition of DJ Moore. All of those draft assets that Ryan Poles had in 2023, not a single one of them has proven that they are going to be a superstar. When you have the first overall pick in the draft, it's, you should come away with a draft where you've got players who are starting and contributing, and you can say unequivocally that player is going to be a stud. You might be able to say that about Darnell Wright, but Darnell Wright did not have a good game in the second half today, and so it's a kick to the nuts when you look at this closely. And so now, besides questioning whether Justin Fields is the guy, we have to really seriously question if Ryan Poles is the guy who can lead us out of this quagmire that we're in, because what he has done to this point is not a passing grade. This winning streak is as much on him, and maybe even more so than Matt Eberflus, because Poles hired Eberflus. He hired an offensive coordinator, a head coach with no head coaching experience, an offensive coordinator with no offensive coordinator experience, a defensive coordinator who had to resign and had no defensive coordinator experience. And so when you allow your GM, when the GM allows the coaches to bring in those inexperienced coaches and you don't have a discussion about that. Hey, well, shouldn't we have a veteran among one of the coordinators so we can have some experience in the room when we're talking? That
Exactly.
you gotta say that's a big blemish on polls.
Now, me and you are here, Aldo. We are here right now. See, now, give me one move, and I'm not going to criticize this draft class. It's too early. You got to give him at least 3 years. Okay, there's some promising stuff. I think Darnell Wright will be fine eventually, but eliminating the draft class, right? And the two guys, the defensive guys, I think they'll be fine too. They're young guys. They're raw. They got to get coached up. But give me one move that is panned out by Ryan Poles. One move.
Yeah.
Roquan Smith for Trey Edmonds, horrible. TJ Edwards, given that big contract, I think Jack Sanborn looks like a better linebacker right now, right, on the football field. I mean, go on, Justin Jones, and all these other guys that he's brought in, and the whole Larry Ogunjobi failure, and when he tried to sign him, and then he failed the physical. I mean, the Chase Claypool, high second round pick, and the guy's inactive today. I mean, every single move he's done. Again, I'm not knocking his draft class. It's still too early for that. Every other move he's done, the hiring of Eberflus, right? Not overseeing and making sure he brings in a veteran play caller, or at least a veteran quarterback coach. That he's got a young quarterback that's in a stage of his development to kind of groom him along. Not making sure they build an offense that highlights the. And I know he didn't draft Fields, right? But if you want to win, you're going to take this talented kid and make sure he progresses. Everything he's done has failed, has looked horrible. When he was hired, somebody told me like, he's a good scout, but they thought it was a bit too early for him to give him a GM title. And it looks like that person that told me that is proven right, because he is not a GM. He's more of a scout than a GM. So this is a utter organizational failure. If Kevin Warren is the person I think he is, he's going to look at this and say, this is an embarrassment, and just clean house and bring in his guys. And that's what I'm hoping for, because if you keep Poles and you fire Eberflus and his staff, and then next year, they get off to a slow start or whatever. Now you fire Poles next year. You do this whole recycle over again. And that's clean slate, wipe everything clean, and let's start all over again.
Just addressing a comment in the chat where it says, it's funny that Doug Buffone used to call out the players and John Buffone defends their terrible play. Are you new here? Or is this your first time listening to this show, watching this show? At what point have I defended the crappy offensive and defensive line, the underwhelming linebackers, the beat up secondary, the questionable quarterback play? Where have I defended this team at all? Where have I made excuses for the awful function of this franchise from top to bottom? From the GM to the coaches to the players, who the hell am I defending? They're all bad. And just because I'm calling out the coach and the GM a lot doesn't mean the players are any good. Bromancing Justin Fields, what the hell are you talking about? That is incredible that you can break that assumption out of what I am saying. You are hearing what you want to hear. You're making up your own fictitious narrative of what I am saying and then spewing all of that out. All of your vitriol of nonsense is coming out on this chat because you want to be right about something. That is incredibly stupid. So I'm not even going to pay attention to that anymore. But getting back to what you were saying, Danny, about what you can do in the long term with Ryan Poles. Listen, the last thing we want is a lame duck season like we had with Nagy, where everyone knew exactly what was going to happen. We knew we knew exactly what this season was going to happen. He was going to be on his way out. They were going to maybe draft a quarterback. So they never really do bring all three of those people in. They never bring in the GM, the head coach, and the quarterback all in the same year. Not the
Bears. Other good organizations do that. But
is that what you would do?
For me personally, me personally, I'm not giving up on Justin Fields just yet. And you can, and that maybe that comment was for me, bromance with Justin Fields. Maybe that's who that comment was for. But I'm not giving up on Justin Fields. He's just way too damn talented for me to give up on him. We saw that talent on display today. Yes, it was the Broncos defense, but still, it's for me. It's a talented kid. I would just start with I'll bring in a GM. I let him hire his coaching staff, and then I would let that GM and that coaching staff take a look at Justin Fields and say, all right, this is what we can do. So what we can do with him. Even if they say, you know what, we're not going to, he might not be a long-term guy. Let's give him a year, just like Brian Dable did in New York. Daniel Jones is on his way out. Brian Dable came in, looked at the options, said, all right, he's got some talent. Let me work with him. Have a coach that brings out the best of the player. And lo and behold, Daniel Jones now has a long-term extension with the Giants. So, I mean, you can't just throw a kid out because he's not what you guys want him to be right now. He is a talented. We can't deny. No one can deny Justin Fields is not talented. I mean, I think we all can agree on that he's not talented. So let's bring a coach in that can work with his talent and develop. If he doesn't develop under the new coach, and the coach can say, all right, you know what? I'm going to get my own quarterback. This class is going to have a lot of quarterbacks. And everybody's, praising Caleb Williams. He's got a lot of spots on him as well. But there's depth in this quarterback class. There's Jordan Travis from Florida State. There's Bo Nix from Oregon. There's other guys that a new coaching staff might come in and take it later on in the draft and say, you know what, this could be someone that we could go ahead and work around and build with. So, but I start with a new GM, new coaching staff, and then let them make the decision on the quarterback and if they want to bring a new one or if they want to continue with Justin Fields, so on and so forth.
Well, that brings I was going to kick it over to you, Aldo.
Yeah, real quick. The problem with firing Poles, and I'm not against the idea, but he has made it pretty clear that this is a rebuild that was going to take time. Prior to the draft, he said, we're not going to be able to fill all of our holes in this draft. And so he was basically saying, hey, guys, we're going to get better in 2023, but we're not going to be where this team is headed to. And he acquired that extra first round draft pick. And so you almost, and again, I'm not saying this, but you almost feel like he should be allowed to finish, just to give him the 2024 reins to fill out this roster and hopefully get to where he's been planning to get to. But I agree. I'm torn. Frankly, I'm torn. I don't know.
Although he said a key thing there, he said that they're going to get better. What aspect of it have they gotten better? What aspect? That's the thing.
This was the critical game to prove that they would get better, because the first 3 games, they played tough games. The Tampa Bay is not a great team, but playing in Tampa Bay can be tough. The Packers are better than I think a lot of us gave them credit for, although they're not the class of the division. We all know that the Lions are. And, of course, the defending champion Chiefs are. So those were tough games to start with. But today should have been a win, and the way they lost tells me, yeah, they're not getting better, and they could actually get worse by the end of the year.
And the thing is, they're not just losing games, although it's 14 in a row now. They've given up 25 plus points in every single game. So it's not like they're even showing signs of improvement. Like if it was a last second, today was by a field goal, but it's like every single play, like these first 3 games that you didn't feel like they were in it at all. The Tampa Bay game was a close game, but just didn't feel like the Bears were in it at all. Today was a game where you thought the Bears took off for the first time. And when it's 28-7. I'm like, all right, now you just run the ball, kill clock, and ease through this game. And next thing you know, the defense gives up those big scores, and then the turnover the fumble by Justin, which is, again, I'm not defending, but that ties the game up. And next thing you know, now they're driving down the football field in position to kick a go-ahead field goal. And then there's that fourth and one call which I don't get. But and then the tide rolls, and now you're again facing a 4-game losing streak going into probably a 5-game losing streak.
Well, yeah. I said this earlier in the week, or maybe it was last week, where it's whether he tried to do it or not, Poles has set this team up pretty well for next season as far as filling in gaps with the draft, especially at the quarterback position if they decide that they don't want to bring Justin Fields back. So they traded that number 1 pick where they're getting a lot of flack, where you could have had CJ Stroud, you could have had Bryce Young, whoever you wanted. But I think where you get that extra first round pick next year and you're giving yourself some mobility in next year's draft, and now we know that the Bears pick is going to be pretty high. So then you see if Fields is the guy this year. If you decide that he's not that guy, you have the draft capital to go up and get. And Danny, I think you might agree that next year, or this coming quarterback class, is deeper than last year's, or at least it's going to be comparable.
There are prospects in this class, John, that do entice me. That do really, really intrigue me. And I really do like better than last year's class. I know CJ Stroud's off to a solid start, but this class is definitely better than last year. Early on, right? It's early on, but there's more depth in it and all that. So there's a better chance you can get someone maybe later in first round, maybe even early second round. But the thing is, if Poles says, I'm keeping this coaching staff, what faith do you have in this coaching staff, whether it's Caleb Williams or whoever it is, they bring in Drake May, to develop the damn guy, to develop that quarterback, right? So then this keeps the staff, and then you bring another quarterback in, and the next year it goes off to, and now you fire the staff, and now you're going to go bring another staff in. What if they don't like that quarterback you just drafted? You wasted two first-round picks to go get. That's the thing, is like you have so many holes on this team that you can go get a stud receiver like a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a center left tackle that could be a stone, like a building block on your left side there on the offensive line. You can do that. You can get a defensive lineman. You can get an edge rusher with these 2 high picks and keep a very talented kid like Justin Fields. That's why I'm not ready to give up on him and his talent just yet. If I saw no ability, no playmaking ability whatsoever with Fields, I'm like, all right, guys, it's just not getting it. It's not getting it. There's no talent there. You can't win any other ways. But you saw what he did today. He put up those points. He put up those yards. Yes, we thought the 2 turnovers, but there's a chance you could have won this game if you had a goddamn defense that could stop somebody.
Well, Danny, I think whether you have this coaching staff or in GM there next year or a new coaching staff, I mean, eventually they have to make a decision on his 5th-year option. And I would you give him that 5th-year option? Because I would not right now. I don't think that he has played to give him $20-some million on that 5th-year option. I don't see it yet. And especially if you bring in a new coach or even a GM, they're going to have to be under the gun of like, do we want this guy that we're not sure of? Are we going to, extend him for $20 million?
I would not give him I would not pick up the option this offseason, but someone in the chat or Aldo, if you know this information, can they pick it up into next year, or does it have to be done this year? Do you know? Or someone in the chat maybe can, I don't know that the mechanism on that 5th-year option, if they have to do it this offseason, or if they can go into next year and pick it up then. I'm not sure, but
I think that might change where they have to. I think they might have to make a decision sooner rather than later.
So I would not pick up the 5th-year option right now. I would let him, just like Daniel Jones, go into that year. And now again, I would bring a new GM, a new coaching staff, and I would let my new coaching staff and my new GM decide what they want to do. If they say, you know what, we're not going to pick up the 5th-year option, we're going to go ahead and, just like Daniel Jones happened in New York, let him ride out this year. And then if he does go ahead and produce under the new staff, and you see the growth and you see the development, you see still see the playmaking ability, then you go and give him a contract. It's going to cost you either way. So you might as well just, not get locked into a 5th year, in my opinion, and just kind of, go ahead and work it that way. What I call the Daniel Jones method in New York.
And Danny, you and I slightly disagreed on a hypothetical scenario, because that's all we have to talk about right now. Is if the Bears were to go out and they get a quarterback next year, you said that, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if you go and you draft the guy in the top 10, that you leave Fields there and you let them have a real legitimate quarterback competition about who to start. I don't know if I would do that necessarily, just to see what I could potentially get from a trade for Justin Fields. Because if I see Trey Lance can go for a 4th, then maybe someone's willing to give a high 3rd for Justin Fields, because they think, well, he's only bad in Chicago because, it was the Bears, and then we can turn him into something. So
no doubt. I agree with you 100%. If they bring in a new staff and they go draft a kid high, pick a name, Drake May, Caleb Williams, bring them in, have them both compete during training camp. And if you say, hey, you know what, Drake May, I'll play Justin Fields, we're going to go with Drake May, we're going to start him off week 1. Now you have an option where you can go ahead and maybe trade Justin Fields for something. I'm not just going to cut him and say, like, all right, you're done. You're, like they did with Trubisky or something like that. I would definitely try to move him as an asset and get something for him.
We have Matt Eberflus at the podium.
Goody.
Just got out of the locker room with the players. Obviously, a hard-fought battle. I thought the guys had passion, had energy. Execution was really good in spots, and I thought that was a big improvement. And I thought the guys did a heck of a job of battling. There was some adversity at the end of that game where we had the fumble, return for a touchdown, and the response for that. I thought the guys did a really good job in terms of responding to adversity and putting ourselves in position to have a chance to win that game at the end. And there's a lot of good moments in there. You talk about, Justin Fields' play. I mean, he really got into the flow. I thought the plan was excellent. I thought the guys did a good job of executing that. And, he distributed the ball to the skill. I thought we did a nice job of running the football. I think that's going to be important for us going in the future to be able to run the football like that. And, that's the big moments of this game. Obviously we had a really good first half in terms of statistically offense and defense. Really did a good job there. And then into the second half, obviously we had the one takeaway for a score. We responded there, and then we got the ball down there with two 2 and some change, 255 and some change, and we had 4th and half a yard. And you have a decision to make there. I love the way our offense was running the ball at that time, and we had a really good chance to seal the deal right there. And that was the decision we made at that moment. And again, the response for our defense there. So they end up getting a chunk play after that, and our defense did a good job of rising up to the occasion, making it 3rd and long, and then we forced the field goal, and then we had the ball back there with some time to go ahead and at least tie or win the game. So that's where it was. But again, a lot of good moments in the game. I'm super excited about those things that we can build upon. It's a short week coming up. So the guys have to move their eyes forward, and we'll make the corrections. But obviously, we're all very disappointed in this hard-fought battle that we had today in the outcome. But I certainly can see things moving in the right direction for our football team. And again, there's a lot of good things out there that we can build upon. So with that, I'll open up the questions.
On that 4th and 1, you would still need some other things to go right to win the game at that point. Why did you think that was a better course of action than kicking the field goal?
Yeah, just because of the way we were running it. It was a half a yard. So I felt very confident about getting that right there. And every situation is different. You got to look at the game in its entirety. And I think that the way we were running the football and the confidence that we had on offense in that moment, I would say that we're going to do that right there.
With half the yard needed, why run out of the shotgun there instead of go under center?
Yeah, there's a lot of plays that you can run there. You could have run a bunch of different plays, So that's the play we chose. That's the play we thought was the best at the time.
Why did you think that was the right play at the time when you need half a yard to go out of the shotgun?
Yeah, I mean, just because it's about moving people off the ball, and as we've been doing all day, and we just got to execute in that moment.
Did you guys do the decision to try and draw them off sides, bang the timeout?
Yep. Yeah, that's just the freeze timeout. You get them up there like you're going for it right away, and you just freeze, and then you call timeout right before it, and then you get your best play available because it gives you a little bit more time to get that best play going, and making sure that all the players, the subs are right, and we're all good, and we're set up for that moment.
And how do you wrap your brain around Justin's day? Obviously, very productive for and 2 fourth-quarter turnovers on top of it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I mean, you saw rhythm, you saw timing, you saw that the receivers were in phase with everybody. It was just really good flow to it, and you could feel that. You could feel that during the course of the day, and excited about the running game. A lot of play passes in there. I thought were really good. Getting Justin out of the pocket, using him, running him, and getting him out of the pocket on the move. So there's a lot of good things we can build upon going forward.
What is Chase Claypool's status?
Yeah, so when you look at actives or inactives every single week, what we do is we, obviously evaluate, meetings, we evaluate walkthroughs, we evaluate practice, and we do that every single week. And then we declare actives or inactives based on that. And this week, Claypool was inactive.
Was he not here today?
He was not here.
Did you guys tell him to stay home?
No.
He chose to stay home.
No, he chose. What are you asking?
Why is he not at the stadium today, like the other inactive players?
I'm not sure.
So it's his choice.
We told him that it was a choice, and he's at home right now.
Was he aware that he was going to be inactive before he talked to the media on Friday?
What's that?
Was he aware that he was going to be inactive before he talked to the media on Friday, or did his comments play a role?
No, we always make inactives right before the game.
So did his comments Friday about being upset with how he was being used factor into the decision to make him inactive?
It did not.
Do you anticipate him still being with the team? Was this a 1 week inactive thing, or is he going to be on ice for?
Yes, I anticipate that.
You expect him in the building tomorrow?
Yeah.
How would you evaluate him? And obviously he's been struggling this season. He's a healthy scratch this week. Looking back, it was a big trade last year with Nick.
Mm-hmm.
How would you evaluate his performance with this team so far?
Yeah, I thought the first week was he would agree with this, that could have been better. I thought he played better in Tampa and better the next week. So I think he's working to learn the offense and doing a good job with that. But again, we evaluate that every single week and give us the best chance to win, the guys up or the guys down.
Matt, would you have preferred that he stay here today?
What's that?
Would you have preferred that he stayed here today?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that.
And on the strip sack, what can happen there?
Okay.
In the way that they played it, obviously it's a negative.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good call. Good call by them. I mean, they obviously had double edge on that one, so, Justin turned around, he was right there, so again, he's either got to dirt the ball or get it to where, he feels the best way to get rid of it. But again, I thought it was a good call by them.
So philosophically, you're a defensive head coach. You're calling the defensive signals. You've got a chance to take the lead and give the game to your defense in that moment late. How hard was it for you to not do that?
I just thought it was, again, like I said, it's every decision is made based on that particular moment. And at that moment, I thought that right there with a half a yard to potentially score a touchdown, okay, and, keep, munch some clock there was the best decision for us. And has nothing to do with offense or defense or just, being the head coach. I just thought it was the right thing to do.
Go ahead.
We've heard a lot from the past year of you guys they need to learn how to win. What is that missing piece of just learning how to win a game where you're up, 28-7?
Right.
Third quarter?
Yeah, it comes down to the execution, doesn't it? It does. It just the execution piece of it. We just got to do a great job in the moments, one play at a time, doing your alignment assignment and executing those plays, offense and defense. And
I think we've heard enough.
Yeah.
My blood pressure is sky high right now. Although might need to cool off a little bit before I start blowing these F-bombs over the damn. That is a joke of a head coach. That's not a head coach. John, you always say, give me an adult in the room. That is not an adult in the room. That is not a man that can sit there and command 53 guys plus a 16-team special teams unit. A practice squad unit. That is a guy. Answer the damn question. Claypool was not there. So he just said, F you to you, Ryan Poles, and to the entire organization. You know what? You're not going to make me active. F you. I'm going to stay home. I'm not going to come here. If this guy is on the team tomorrow, I am stunned. I am stunned. His ass is cut now. He says, I'm not going to answer that question. Dude, you're the freaking head coach. You're the damn head coach of this team. Claypool, a guy who's not even productive, is shitting on you. He's actually shitting on you and your leadership and all this other crap. You're a defensive-minded head coach. Your defense sucks. Like you said earlier, what do you do? What do you bring to this table? Absolutely nothing.
See, Danny, you got fired up from that press conference, and I kind of cooled down because Matt Eberflus can kind of put me to sleep while he's talking, and it's like a very monotone, inconsequential kind of soliloquy that he does whenever he's up there, and I think that for us, we go on as soon as the game's over, and that's I think a lot of the times in the media you give everybody like a 10-minute cool down period as soon as they get off the field, so they don't say anything they're not supposed to, and I think that sometimes we need to do that as well. Before we jump into that,
can I add a point to that regarding the Claypool thing? People were saying, well, what's he supposed to say? Well, where was Chase Claypool? He was not here, and he should have been here. And when he returns to Hallis Hall tomorrow, I'm assuming he's going to return. We're going to have a strict talk about that. And regarding his future, I can't comment on that because I'm going to talk to my general manager. We're both upset about his absence, and we're going to deal with it tomorrow morning. No more questions on that. What else is next? That's how he should have handled that.
Take charge. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Show some testicles there.
You've had some PR classes there, Aldo. I can tell that was direct, that was concise, and it got to the point, and it gets you out of having to do any follow-up questions. That was very nice.
Was that? It's like he doesn't want to answer the question, but he damn well heard the question the first time. What was that?
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. It's always just kind of think about what you're going to say. But exactly. Yeah, it got you all riled up, and I already kind of blew my lid, and I do want to apologize for yelling about people in the chat, and that's really not my style. I really pride myself on letting everybody have their own opinion. I do want to apologize to Island Man for calling him out personally. That was not something that I like to do. I hate doing that, and quite frankly, that's not something that I strive to do. So I do apologize for that, and I just want to talk about the Bears. I think we're all pretty upset about the Bears because they just keep finding new ways to lose, and we keep getting the same over and over bull crap after every game. So it's just tired. They're really giving us nothing new to talk about, gentlemen. It's other than they're finding new ways to do it. If those going to be our biggest talking points, how can they blow this game? And going in, and Danny, I think you said it going into Thursday's game, they ain't facing a defense that gave up 70 points last week.
They're not. They're not. They're facing a defense that's got a vicious front four. It's the Ron Rivera defense. It's attack defense. It's aggressive defense. First of all, this offensive line, for the most part, had a solid game. But Larry Borum struggled. Aldo earlier pointing out, Darnell Wright, the rookie, had some 3 bad penalties. They have to clean things up. Now it is week 4. I don't know if Tevin Jenkins is healthy enough to come back yet. But obviously, if those guys can come back and help, that only will kind of hopefully help it. But this is going to be a game where Justin Fields is going to get hit. He's going to get hit a lot. And if you can't run the ball, if you can't slow down that pass rush of the Washington Commanders, it's going to be a long damn game. And their offense can put up points, guys. And I know Sam Howell, and I kind of make fun of the whole Sam wagon, but they have a running back, Brian Robinson. Kid from Alabama, runs hard. The offensive line isn't great, but it's solid. They got some skilled receivers on the outside with Johan Dotson and Terry McLaurin. They got some playmakers, and these guys are going to put up points. If you can't stop, a Russell Wilson-led offense, we gave up 24 unanswered points. How are you going to stop an offense on the road on a short week, on national TV? That's the other thing. It's going to be a national embarrassment. Everyone's going to see this product on national TV, and all they're going to be talking about is this Bears team. So, for me, I just hope Justin comes out of it alive. I hope he goes out there, has another solid game. Obviously, limited turnovers, but all you can do now is just hope Justin continues to get better, play better. And, you don't get blown out by 50 points like the Broncos did a couple of weeks ago. So,
Aldo, let me ask you this question, because they said potentially Caleb Williams, they're going to monitor who gets the first overall pick, and that could actually have an impact of whether or not he comes out to the draft or not. Because in the age of NIL, some of these college guys are making almost as much as they would off of their rookie deal. Maybe not the top guys like Williams, or maybe depending on the deals he's signing, but they're making a good amount of money off their NIL deals, and that gives them a little more flexibility if and when they decide to go pro. If Caleb Williams, or if the Bears get the number 1 overall pick and Caleb Williams knows that he's going to get drafted to Chicago, let's say you're Caleb Williams. Are you coming out?
I probably would not. Now the first overall pick is going to sign a $40 million contract, and it's going to be guaranteed. I don't think the NIL is going to offer that kind of money, but given the situation here in Chicago, you will be very, very careful about making that decision to come out if the Bears are interested in drafting you. You'd first have to assess, now, who's the new coach, assuming that they're going to replace Matt Eberflus? Who's the offensive coordinator, assuming that they're going to replace offensive coordinator, and make a more informed decision. But it was his father, Caleb Williams' dad, said, we're going to, if he's not happy with the team that's picking first overall, then he might just stay another year. And so you got to take him at his word on that. I would hope that he would make a very informed decision, and that the Chicago Bears make the job attractive enough for anybody to come here. There was a time last season where Justin Fields was the attractive thing, that guys wanted to come here and play with Justin because he was such a tremendous athlete. Now that's dissipated, unfortunately, but maybe we can reclaim that. And instead of drafting a quarterback with the first overall pick, we're drafting defensive linemen and offensive linemen to help this team.
And Danny, would it make a difference if they have a new head coach? And let's just say, we'll just start with a head coach. They have a new head coach who's offensive minded, has a really good resume. I'm literally picking a name out of the sky, but let's just say they hired Jim Harbaugh, and he's all of a sudden Jim Harbaugh is the coach of the Chicago Bears. Would that change things of how you look at the Bears drafting you number 1 overall?
Sorry, guys, we got Justin Fields at the podium, so
think about that answer.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be more soft-spoken than ever here.
His display of his emotions, and me and him have had multiple conversations with that. But as far as do I want someone on the team, that's an easy answer. Yes, of course.
Are you frustrated as a leader of the team by that situation, and given the fact that you specifically have gone to bat for him publicly multiple times?
Talking about Claypool.
The Chase Claypool situation, when you have been out front in front of the cameras defending him throughout this?
Of course I'm frustrated, and when one of your best weapons on the outside is not in the game. But it is what it is. Coach the front office, they made the decision, and that's what it is. And, you know, as a player, I can't do anything about it. Got to go out there with, you know, the players that I have and execute to the best of my ability. So, you know, I just try to control what I can control and kind of just stay out of, you know,
Did they
what they
explain
got going
why
on. No, they didn't, you know, and I think at the time when everybody found out, everybody was so locked in on preparing and, you know, getting ready for the game plan. Nobody really asked questions, you know, we just don't ask questions. We just, you know, focus on the task at hand and, you know, the game that was coming up.
On the fumble, when you roll out, obviously it's a real split second decision, being contemplated perfect. But what can you do to have it not become a turnover?
I mean, it's tough because, you know, the rule on, you know, boots, nakeds is no sacks. So in that situation, of course, you'd rather have a sack than a fumble, scoop, and score for a touchdown. So, you know, me personally, I turned around. He was right there. I was just trying to, dirt the ball, and then it just didn't end up working that way. So, you know, if I could do anything is, I don't know. I don't know if I can really do anything on that one, to be honest with you. But, you know, yeah, I just tried to get the ball out and just kind of make it. I don't know what the down and distance was on that play, but, you know, just make it an incomplete pass and move on to the next play.
Congrats, Justin, on breaking the Bears record of 16 straight completions. 2 questions for you. In the first half, it seems like you guys are moving the ball, mixing it up a little bit. Then in the second half, you guys started to get a little conservative. What can you do to counter that? Because it seems like you're more of an improv type player.
You know, stay aggressive. You know, I think that we were running the ball well, so I don't. As far as conservative, I don't know if you meaning throwing the ball more or what, but, you know, Khalil, he had a hell of a day on the ground. I think he had over 100 rushing yards. So he did his thing. The line was doing the thing. And, you know.
The lead, like, you guys had a big lead. It just seems like you guys were playing just to keep the lead.
Just to keep the win.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. You know, I think that's past my pay grade. You probably got to ask, you know, coach or whoever else, you know, why we did what we did. But, you know, my job is to get the play call and, you know, run the play that was called and execute it to the best of my ability. So.
Justin, we saw you more under your locker room a little bit longer than usual. What kind of things are going through your head in that moment, and then how do you turn that into a message to the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, it hurt. You know, just come out with, I don't even know how many, just the lead that we had, and, you know, we weren't finishing it off. I wasn't able to finish it off. So it was, you know, of course it hurt. Almost like, I don't know. It's just, yeah, just the emotions just flowing everywhere. So, yeah.
Justin, when your teammates go on Thursday, you're 0-4.
That's fine.
You got a quick turnaround. What's the message to your guys to get it turned around on Thursday?
Keep going. Never stop. No matter how hard it gets, never stop. We're playing for each other. I'm playing for each and every guy in that locker room. They know that I'm going to give my all, and, you know, I know I'm going to get the same thing back from them. So keep going. Don't be discouraged, and play every play and every game like it's your last. So that's the message.
That was Justin Fields. Just the demeanor just looks like he's searching for answers, and he just can't figure it out. Why they can't all be put together? Why they can't produce a win against a team they honestly should have beat? I mean, if you look at how that game was going in the first part and the first half, that's a game they should have been able to close out. But mistakes all around, from the coaching staff to the quarterback to the defense, cost them this game. Danny, what do you take out of that?
Yeah, obviously you can see the emotion on the kid's face, and he's a guy who really wanted to will his team to a victory today. He thought they had it in the bag, you know, probably halfway through the game, halfway through the third quarter. So I think to find that they lose this game, and obviously, you know, his 2 turnovers, a fumble, and then the interception, or things that really bothered him. And you could tell he wears his emotion on the sleeves, and the kid's not happy. The kid is a winner in terms of his collegiate and high school career, and he's lost 14 games in a row here, and it's not something easy for these guys to take. So, you know, some players are easier to shake it off than others, and obviously for Justin, it's a little bit more difficult. Now the fact you got to come back on a short week and play on Thursday night, it's going to be even more harder for these guys to kind of get geared up. And guys, I think they know that they're not being put in situations where they can win games. And I think now offensively and on special teams, these 2 units know that they can't make any mistakes. They literally, because the defense cannot do anything to help them out. defense is useless. So they know that they got to go out. Both units can't get a kick blocked. You can't get a punt blocked. You can't have a shank in terms of a punt. You can't miss any field goals. Offensively, you can't have any turnovers. You got to be perfect every single damn time you're on the football field, because defensively they suck, and they're gonna suck, and they're not gonna get any better. There's no cavalry coming here to save this damn defense. So I think they just know that, and at certain points in the game when you realize you got to make a play, I think if a bad fumble, bad tip, interception, whatever, block kick, you know that the momentum swings to the other side, and you have a defeated kind of attitude. So that's the hard part. I just don't know how this team is going to continue week in and week out, putting out the all effort that it needs to win games. That's why I don't see a win in any time soon, to be honest with you.
Aldo, what did you take out of Justin Fields' demeanor and his comments there?
Yeah, I was really struck by his demeanor at Wednesday's press conference. I mean, I put a picture up on it on X and made the joke that he looked robotic. He was lifeless, and he was very soft-spoken, and he seemed disinterested in being there. And it made me a little bit upset because, as a leader of the team, you've got to mirror the behavior that you want your teammates to do. And that was not a good look for Justin Fields. Today, I was much more impressed by his demeanor. He's clearly disappointed. He took responsibility. He said, I'm disappointed because I wasn't able to finish the job. And of course, he's not going to throw his teammates and the coaching staff under the bus, because we know the blame goes around a lot. But he did have 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter. That was a big part of the loss. So I was encouraged by the press conference and hope that he builds on that. And I also hope that this team builds on these 2 things. Cole Kmet had an excellent day. 2 touchdowns, 7 receptions on 9 targets, 85 yards. And then DJ Moore, somebody said that DJ Moore looks diminished. I think it was Jordan Silvera. These are the type of numbers DJ Moore delivered in Carolina when he was at his absolute best. And so the Bears took a great, huge step forward to using this receiver and getting what they're paying him to do. And so let's hope that on Thursday night, he can match these numbers, and that we can continue with a Moore, Kmet, and Mooney had his best game of the year, that we can continue utilizing those 3 pass weapons, because it's pretty obvious that Cole Kmet, it's obvious to me anyway, that Cole Kmet is no longer going to be a part of this team. He's probably gone tomorrow, somehow, some way.
Are you talking about Chase Claypool?
Okay. Chase Claypool. I'm sorry.
That'd be quite the cap hit if they decide they're going to get rid of Cole Kmet tomorrow. wouldn't that be what a Bears thing to do? All this stuff going on with Chase Claypool. We have parted ways with Cole Kmet.
That's right.
that'll fix the locker room.
But John, I want to get back to your question prior to the Justin Fields press conference, where you asked me about if you're younger quarterbacks, would you want to come to Chicago if they made a coaching change? I think that would change everything. Obviously, it depends who they bring in here. If it's an offensive minded coach, you name Jim Harbaugh, who's one of my favorites, but maybe a Ben Johnson, Eric Bieniemy, one of those guys, a Bill O'Brien, guys that can coach up quarterbacks and get the best out of them. I think that changes everything. So obviously, it's a third largest market in the country. You want to come out here, you want to make some in terms of popularity and some endorsements and all that stuff. So I think that changes everything. But that's the thing that scares me, guys. It's there's no guarantee Ryan Poles is going to get fired. There's no guarantee he's going to fire this coaching staff. What if this is just it's part of the process, or we're going to be better next year? I mean, that talk about just losing morale, not only in the locker room, but the fan base. Everyone who roots for this team is just going to be like, what the heck is going on here? So that's the thing. It's like, we only have, week 4, we got 13 more of these weeks, and we still don't know if there's going to be any sort of changes, and now we have to kind of sit there and endure all this stuff. But yeah, it's if to answer your question, if there's a whole new regime change, who they bring in here is going to be very important in terms of who the potential prospect sees in terms of coming here and developing. But yeah, I mean, right now you keep the same staff. And you bring a new quarterback in, what's to make you think that's going to develop, that kid's going to develop under this coaching staff?
I don't want to. I think there was a question or a comment from Rock Davis about you don't have to give him the 5th-year option. You keep him, and you got him for 2 years. I think. Well, you got him for the rest of this year, and then you would have him all through next year. But you have to decide whether or not you're going to bring in that 5th year. So, yeah,
You could franchise him. You could franchise him if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think that's what Rock needs.
Yeah, what you can do is you don't give him the 5th-year option, and if he plays well, you can franchise tag him, which is what they were actually. This is the same conversation we kind of had about Mr. Trubisky when they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. Like, well, if he plays great, then they can franchise tag him. So yeah, you absolutely do have that possibility now. But if you draft a quarterback very high and you want him to eventually take the reins, I don't know if you're going to franchise the guy in front of him. So I think that all these things are, you have to kind of let the year play out to see what you're going to do and see where your draft positioning is and who you can get at that point, which once again, it sucks that we have to talk about this on the first day of October. But that's where we're at now with the Bears being 0-4. And then on a short week, don't worry. We get to see him again in just a few days here on Thursday night. You guys remember the last Thursday night game against the Commanders? How fun that was. That was just
yeah, that was a real right there. So, but actually, that then forced them to go ahead and make the change offensively that resulted in the last win versus the Patriots last October. So, man, it's pretty bad.
So this is going to be their. At first I thought that the Bears were going to be everybody's get right game, and then when they jumped out that lead, I'm like, well, maybe the Broncos or the Bears get right game. And I was like, oh, nope, never mind. we were the Broncos. And it's funny because I was texting my cousin and at halftime, he's like, oh, they got it. I'm like, be careful. And then as soon as the game was over, he texted me. He's like, I will never assume anything ever again. And that's exactly
not with this defense that cannot stop anybody.
The team in general is whether it's going to be a fumble or an interception or, a soft defense that allows people to drive down the field. You just feel like we've been saying, the margin for error is so thin that one thing can completely throw it off the tracks. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
No, go ahead, Aldo.
I was just I wanted to comment on what Danny was saying about there's no guarantees that, we're going to have a new coach next year. I truly believe that if Ryan Poles decides, if this team continues to lose, particularly in the manner that they're losing, if Ryan Poles decides to bring this coaching staff back, then we should riot over at Hallis Hall. Not riot, with violence, but go over there with signs and say fire Poles, because you've got to be able to see that this locker room is in disarray, that the morale on it has hit rock bottom, and there's no way that you should bring back a head coach who has basically developed that and has not disciplined players when they needed discipline. And you also need to bring in a head coach who has as Danny has been saying for weeks, or over a year now, who has a new schematic for the defense, that the cover two that he's playing. Over and over and over again, we were seeing wide open people in the middle of the field, which everyone knows that's where the cover two is your biggest liability, and no answer for that. So there's just the list of reasons of coaching malpractice is so long that if Ryan Poles perpetuates that by bringing Eberflus back next year, then true fan discontent. We will put our heads together and figure out ways to protest, in a civil manner, what is going on with the Chicago Bears organization, because this is totally, totally unacceptable. It has to change, and it has to change with either Eberflus being fired or Poles himself being fired.
And the fact that they were effective when he brought the blitz, talked about the Sanborn blitz and for the cause of sack. We talked about the Britzker blitz twice or three times. They brought Britzker, who was very effective as a blitzer coming in. He got there. He didn't get sacks, but he forced Russell Wilson to incompletions. They worked. I'm not saying every single down you got to blitz, but on third down in obvious passing situations, let's force something. Let's do something. Even the announcers are saying you got to do something here, and they're talking about the Broncos in terms of getting Justin Fields off his rhythm when he was at 16 for 16. You got to blitz, you got to bring pressure. That's how you do it in the NFL. And this guy just sits back there and just refuses, other than ones or twosies here and there, to bring the blitz. And I'm like, dude, it's been a year almost in 4 games. Like, why are you so stubborn about this damn scheme? It's like, we know you want to run it, fine, run it. Everyone runs it, but they run a variation of it. They sky stuff. They get aggressive with it. Buffalo runs a primary zone scheme. The 49ers run a primary zone scheme, but they have the front four that can get to the quarterback, so they can sit back in coverage and let those front four guys get it. If you don't, you got to be aggressive and you got to be creative in terms of how you provide and generate pressure. He just doesn't get it.
Guys, I'm emotionally exhausted.
I'm
emotionally drained. I just don't know how much more I have to give. But that being said, let's go around with some final thoughts here. Danny and then Aldo.
Final thoughts. Honestly, I think I've said pretty much all I can say. I don't see a win in the horizon. You play a tough Washington team that, in 4 days. I don't know if they won today, but they took the Eagles to overtime in Philadelphia. So obviously this is a team that's got talent, both defensively and offensively. Good luck. All I can say is good luck in trying to win that game. I can't even muster a situation or any sort of scenario where the Bears can pull off some sort of victory here. So it's probably going to extend this losing streak. We're probably going to sit here and continue to watch Eberflus get up there and just kind of flub his way through the media and just kind of throw out the whole execution and all this other crap that he puts out there week in and week out. Meanwhile, Chase Claypool, one of the least productive players on the football team, clowns him, and doesn't even show up to the stadium today. So it's not going to get any better, guys. Just hunker down and buckle in. Like Aldo said earlier, let's see who develops here. Khalil Herbert, let's see if you can continue that progression. I did like the push in terms of the offensive line on the right side, which I've been calling for, with Nate Davis finally in there, and then Darnell Wright being able to kind of generate some pressure there, generate some movement there, and allowing the running game to go ahead and pick up there. So let's see if that picks up. DJ Moore, continue getting him involved like he was today. Obviously, continue to get Justin into to produce like he produced today. That'd be great. But this week it's going to be tough, especially with Larry Bourman left tackle facing that front four of Washington. I'm going to be concerned going into this game. And John, good luck. I know you're going to be at the game, so hopefully enjoy yourself.
I'll add to that and say that I'm really looking forward to talking with Greg Gabriel tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central. Greg, 2 shows ago, was out on Justin Fields. We'll see if his performance today back in. Greg was very critical of Luke Getsy last week, so we'll see. I imagine he's probably going to jump over to Matt Eberflus now and be critical of him, but we'll see at 11 a.m. Central. And then Buffon 55, John's got 5 rants for us tomorrow. You don't want to miss that. That's going to be really, really good stuff. And then at 8:30, it's the season finale of Southburg's Hitmen. What you talk about frustrating. This is a baseball team that people expected to contend for a division title, and they end up losing about 100 games or over 100 games. So those guys are going to put a bow on that season. You can expect some F-bombs and some mumbling and grumbling during that show. So stay with us here on the Barroom Network. A lot of unhappy people, but you're unhappy too. So let's share in the misery.
Absolutely. And although I hope that I can recharge my battery in time, because usually I don't have this 24-hour turnaround where I gotta usually process and refill the gas tank a little bit. But
just give us one good rant. We've got plenty of other things to talk about. You've got one good rant, and we'll turn off the clock for that one.
We'll do that. We'll save it all for tomorrow. I'll conjure everything I got for that, and then I'm gonna rely heavily on my on the rest of the team to carry that show tomorrow. But yeah, I said I wasn't gonna let them do it to me again, where it's like I emotionally invested in them, and I know that they're just going to hurt me, but they ended up doing it anyway. So I felt this loss really. This one really burned me, because it felt like they literally had the game right there and they just let it go and they found a new way to lose. So this is just demoralizing. It's tough to keep watching this. And honestly, I think it might have been Hugh Heavens in there that said that they lost that the coach lost the locker room. I have to agree, because if there are still guys that were here last year that have lost 14 straight games, and to lose it in this manner and against a team that you probably should have beat or had every opportunity to beat, and you still found a way to lose, you're just going to lose that locker room even more. You're going to lose everyone in that locker room that has any kind of faith that you can put together any kind of competent scheme to win a football game. And at times it looks like this team is not a professional football team. And that's what's hurting me, man, because we waited 8 months for this. We're only 4 games into the season, and we got 3.5 months left of this. We got 3.5 months left to talk about this team. And I don't see any positives on the horizon. They're going to, come save the day where all of a sudden something magical is going to happen in week 8 or 9. And all of a sudden we're second. Look, they turned it around. I want that to happen. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to rip this team and I'm going to be mad, but I want to be wrong about a lot of this stuff. I want to be wrong about some of these things where they can prove me wrong and say, no, we do have a good defensive line. No, the quarterback is going to be more consistent. No, the offensive line is gelling. I want to be wrong about this. I'm not worried about being right. But they haven't given me anything to go on, really. So I really want them to rise to the occasion. But with this coaching staff and the current just feeling around it, like if it's any of the way I'm feeling, it's demoralized. So, but that doesn't keep me from being thankful for everybody that jumps into the chat room at the end of the game here. We appreciate each and every one of you, whether you are watching the video version, the audio version, the live version, of the podcast version. Thank you for commiserating with us. Thank you for coming in for this Bears therapy session. Once again, I love all the comments in there. I love talking to you guys. I never meant to, I don't like to call anybody out. I don't like to be mean. That's really not my style. So once again, I apologize for that. But that will do it for this edition of Bear Football. For Danny Shimon and Aldo Gandia, I'm John Buffone. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.